that takes us to what you all briefly touched upon. So pre-leased in and after COVID. So Sudarshan, what are the three things that you see how pre-lease will get impacted?
So like I said, right, one thing which your pre-lease assets, which is there, is now you can ask for a good discount, which means the yield can go up in general as an entry bracket, because anything in investments world is your entry price. So in these circumstances, this is the best. Again, I would say don't stretch too much also beyond a point. Don't be too greedy in life, because getting an opportunity of this sort is important, because many other investors might not want to sell their assets as well. Considering they will see a bounce back. These are all short-term sentiments in general. There will be a bounce back. This is not a segment in general which can just evaporate, or you can change. Like, people are saying work from home will become a norm for everyone. Companies will stop taking offices. Work from home can become a norm, but it's not sustainable. Every company, especially IT companies, which occupy more than 30-40% of all the office spaces in India in grade A, they talk about collaborative approach of working. Yes, they're now working under situation, but today work from home, and I'm sure for all the others, is now like more prison rather than joyous, that yeah, I'm working from home, I have that privilege in general. So this is not sustainable. Things will go again. Like I said, don't stress too much, but very important for you to evaluate when you're doing a pre-leased asset, especially in this thing, is to see if there's any kind of a rental discussion in terms of a renegotiation or anything which has happened, because that is something which can go through, and you might not be aware of what's happening at the background, and you might lose out on that. So something which is critical. But on a very larger scheme of things, I see 3-4 parameters which will be in very, very favorable position for pre-leased assets in general. First is somebody who sits on a good asset with a great location. Take it into consideration. You're not going to get a major discount on that, because he knows the value of the asset. He's selling out only because he needs money. Otherwise, he's not going to, especially in these situations, you'll not find a lot of people selling it. Second, you'll find a lot of developers trying to sell pre-leased assets. Perhaps a good opportunity for you to squeeze another 2-3% up and down, because they would need a lot of cash at this point of time, so that can ease a lot of their, the EMI payments or other things which they might have, which they need to do. And obviously, they've made a lot of other investments in other properties in general for future expansions, but that will make an impact. But very critical thing which is there, where I'm very all out into warehousing and industrial, is because like IT companies today, IT companies have offices for a similar operation in 2 offices minimum in India. If they have something in Bangalore, they have something of that same division in Noida, Gurgaon, or in Pune, or in Bombay as well. Reason being, there's a concept called as business continuity management, which means tomorrow, for any reasons that, say this lockdown for that matter happened only in Mumbai, all your employees in Mumbai cannot operate and do the business. So hence IT companies have 2 offices, so that, okay, if this locks down, I have another office which has the similar team. They have to double up in terms of the capacity of work, but at least my work would not get affected, because most of them are doing work for international companies abroad. I see a similar trend happening as business continuity management in manufacturing also now, especially companies which were relying on China or predominant outsourcing, importing a lot of things, have a small unit in these premises, either that way. Second, for companies which were wanting to store, now would want to store more in terms of their contingency reserves. That is going to happen. Third thing which we've seen in this entire COVID as a lockdown is many companies have realized that how good or bad their supply chain is in general. So you'll see a lot of trend of supply chain moving towards grade A from grade B, because that is the core in which the industry is getting organized right
now. Could you give us an example?
So let's say many companies who are working where grade B offices are there, let's say your FMCG companies, or other organizations where your agro products come into picture, etc. Now they've been kept in location because traditionally they've worked. Like your grade A has impacted, mostly your high street things, like say your Apple products, the way they get distributed, or the furniture, the way it gets distributed, with these good amount of rack systems, etc. But these segments have not seen that tremendous amount of shift from a grade B to grade A. This is the opportunity where they'll see that, okay, how good or bad their supply chain has been, or how good or bad their storing capacities have been, is when you see a tremendous capacity growing in for many companies to start, having better facilities. Grade A warehouse comes with much better facilities, right? Whether it's your solar, the ventilation system, or the way racking system is done, a bunch of other things around it. So this is where I see that this is a great opportunity for warehousing investments in general, because this will pump up maximum. 2 biggest beneficiaries I see in terms of cities, Chennai and Mumbai. purely because of the port access. You'll find a lot of companies trying to set shops which are looking at export as a unit. Many companies who now want to say cut ties with China in terms of buying more stuff from them might look at India as another opportunity. So it's probably the golden opportunity India is going to see. In my opinion, it's the best opportunity India is going to see post independence in general. And if we can capitalize that, obviously government and everybody has to support. But if we can capitalize that, probably you'll see us being the fastest growing, in terms of this year as of GDP in general, versus other countries in a similar position as we are in.
Right. So while we spoke about the opportunity, currently there are a lot of rent waivers happening.
Yep.
There's a lot of consolidation also happening. There will be downsizing that's happening because maybe certain sectors like travel, hospitality, they're going to downsize. So my next question is to Ram. Ram, while on one side we are talking about the opportunity, at this point in time, the practical reality is that there is a waiver. People are looking at renegotiating rents and so on and so forth. Do you know of any other examples, that will kind of give us a perspective on what's really happening to the commercial market right now?
Yeah, so what we've been all hearing, and not only hearing, but a lot of our clients are coming back to us. First is a waiver for the period of the lockdown because they are unable to operate the premises and their teams are working from home. Number two, going further, people also want to negotiate on the rental. So we have got mandates from two of our corporate clients. They hold close to 7 offices all over India, and they've asked me to negotiate with all the clients. The CMD spoke to me today morning saying, Ram, please negotiate 25%. I said it's not possible because for the landlord, the situation has not changed. His property tax is not going down. Why are we taking, but we have to represent him. I would put out another point. 3 days back, there was a panel discussion organized by Trek where we had Vinod Rohira, who is the director of commercial real estate at K. Raheja Corp. It's a very beautiful fact which never came to our mind is these people have 30 million square feet that are rented out of which for the month of March and April, they have received the rental from 95% of the tenants. And he had this to say, even if they are not working, the backbone of the entire system lies in the office. The servers are there, which are working 24/7. His entire team of security and all the people are there at the site. What kind of service? What's happening is the mobility of people is not happening, but the office still exists, and there's a lot of cloud computing that is happening. So they have got 95% of the rentals without asking. So somewhere there's a big balloon of rental waivers. Rental waiver, I wouldn't say for or against. It is an individual case, but rental negotiation going there. Another point that Sudarshan mentioned, and I would just like to add, is going further, the digital world is going to go great. I mean, we see a lots and lots of work for the cloud computing companies. Imagine I am sitting in my home and my data is in the cloud. I'm still able to serve my clients. These kind of companies will see a big jump, whether it goes to the IT-centric cities like Bangalore or Pune, or for that matter, Hyderabad, or even Navi Mumbai is one case that. But because of the digital outreach, there's a demand which will come from IT, ITS, and now many companies are implementing a norm of having more square feet per person. In fact, last 5 days I've been dealing with the admin department and HR of a couple of companies where they are asking us how we can make our employees more comfortable. Is it the 65 square feet norm? Can it be increased to 85? Now, when that is happening, they are not going to downsize the team. Their intake for real estate will definitely increase. Third and very important point, NRIs with a with an appetite for risk. For them, dollar at 77 rupees and a pre-leased asset at anywhere between 6 to 10% makes real estate very lucrative. And I've used the word NRIs with a risk, with an appetite for risk. I see that kind of demand now coming, not immediately, but in the next quarter or probably 2 quarters from now. And as Sudarshan has been pointing out, yes, the best grade A assets will be the one, because they will be the one with deep pockets already. And I'm talking about all the HNIs here. One more is work from home. So Sudarshan, one point I would share this incident where one of my friends' son and daughter-in-law are in US and they're working from home. They work for a company called Oracle. The kind of discipline they have, the husband-wife both operate from their own bedrooms and their own system because it's a security-based system. Trust me, in the 8 hours, they don't see each other. That is the kind of discipline they have. And my friend he's just harping. And I think that is what the work culture is. India, I've been here for, 5 weeks at home. That kind of discipline will never come. So that whole thing of work from home, changing real estate demand, I don't think it's a big impact. Yes, it will happen. But we are, honestly, let's take it, we are not so disciplined when we work that we will be 8 hours dedicated to what's happening. So I think that is again a big of a balloon, which I think we should factor in. And yes, the China meltdown, which will start happening. I've heard of I have a Korean client whom we work with, and I got a news from it. A lot of Korean companies are looking to make now India as the base for manufacturing. There are some services company also. So this client of mine provides services to infrastructure in India. They say a lot of Korean companies are planning to come, and then there will be a sort of demand that is generated. In fact, certain clients of these are looking at build to suit options also. So I think going ahead, the market will be good, but yes, sentiments will be low for the next 2 quarters at least. Over to you, Raj.
Right. Thanks, Ram. One of the comments that we've got is that, do you expect the CAM charges to go up because the housing, the facility management guys will have to be provided with extra gloves, maybe disinfecting the premises far more often and taking all the other precautions while, we are talking about this aspect of it. When it comes to post-COVID, when we look at the health sector and how it's going to change our workplace, do you think the charges will go up?
So yes, I think it will go up marginally to the extent that it will not affect the ROI for your investor. So let me put it, when I work with multinational companies for the office premises, there is one department which is called SHE, Safety, Health and Environment. All the MNCs have this department in the company, and that department plays a very big role in selecting premises. I think now what is going to happen is even the smaller companies will put a lot of emphasis on safety, health and environment. I would say a very nominal 1 to 3% rise in CAM charges, not the property tax, 1 to 3%, which will not affect your profitability as far as your ROI goes.
Right. Okay. And in terms of, Sudarshan, very quickly, what are the good sectors and maybe one or two good sectors and sectors to avoid?
So let me first speak about what you should go after, right? Consumption is India's story for all practical purposes. So consumption is something which you should. Second, like I said, for many companies, supply chain has been something which is now going to start becoming an issue. So I see supply chain becoming a great option, which means your 3PL companies in warehousing is a great opportunity for you to look at just from a warehousing point of view. In office, I mean, being very honest, we've had, like, one of our clients is one of IT major companies of India. They've seen that they want to again double on because they're seeing a lot of interest coming from Europe in terms of outsourcing more. They're looking at taking another 10-15 lakh square feet of office space in India, which was to us very shocking in general. Yes, they are laying off people, but then there are new projects which are also going to come for them to do. The layoffs which you hear are, effectively these extremely freshers, junior employees, which they get in abundance from all these campus placements every now and then. So these are the kind of layoffs which happen. But otherwise, the senior guys, and especially let me speak from a Bangalore point of view, right? You're talking about startups laying off companies, which is one of the largest occupiers in office spaces also after these IT companies. The kind of layoffs which are happening are effectively your first level, the junior most staff, which is coming up mostly in the operations or whatever, which does not make sense for them to have it because these are processes, and this is what AI and technology has already brought in, where they've, like, say Zomato for that matter. Zomato does not have any customer support team anymore, right? Completely AI driven, where you speak, you chat, they've got the data of all the years of things, and they don't need that team, and they laid off all the people. So you'll not see in terms of, especially let's say Bangalore, your startups as well as your IT companies are great. Your co-working is going to be even better because many companies have realized that let's go asset light. You never know if this keeps coming again and again. I would rather relook my entire strategy or my India proposition for the next 4-5 years. So they might opt for co-working for some time. Probably I see a boom time for co-working. Yes, co-working today might be striving or having issues where most of their members are not paying rents to them for now and asking for rental waivers. Likewise, I'm sure they are asking the same from their landlords. But then this is where I see a lot of these, and especially for co-working companies, I think 60, 65, 70% of their customers were anyway enterprises. I see that demand going up even further in general, and probably their boom time as well, because many companies are now going to be cautious with respect to cost and like to be asset light in general.
So, what do you expect the overall impact on commercial real estate?
So, see, overall impact, I see it more positive in general because, like how Ramsar and all we've been discussing, right? There's going to be, especially the NRI, very rightly pointed out, it's a huge segment which is now going to look at, because it's now even more cheaper for them in general, and they would like to invest into the country back, considering even their investments in their respective countries where they are in are also not going to do so well. India is a much bigger growth story for them in general. So this is what you'll see a small change in general, but not a major impact. Like how Sir said, 1-2 quarters, yes, go after those stressed opportunities. You can, increase your yields in general, but not on a long run. In my opinion, this is the most robust sector to be in. Yes, residential will get affected, certainly purely because many people who were deciding to invest now might probably hold back to their investment for the next 3 months, 6 months, because many companies are laying off people or going through a job cut, so they don't have security where they would want to be bought into a 10-year, a loan with respect to their investment in a house. But otherwise, from an retail office or warehousing, I definitely don't see any kind of, a long-term problem which is going to come. Short-term, yes, 1-2 quarters, but not on a long run.
Okay, coming back to my original question, sectors. We need a quick fix. So, which sectors, Sudarshan? One sector to specifically to look for, and one sector to avoid.
Very difficult. There are several sectors in general. I mean, in my opinion, go after pharma and FMCG. These are the two best sectors generally to be in. I mean, a sector to avoid. I mean, it might be a very stupid answer, but travel industry obviously is one of the best. But I would also consider banking to some extent, because many companies, especially ATMs now, you'll see a dry run for ATMs coming in. The more and more India is getting digital, and these times are the best time for UPI's acceptability, which is coming. In fact, UPI has now gone global in general. So you'll see a lot of banks which are now going to stop giving their ATMs. Many people might stop coming into banks. The more and more fintech and the more and more banks are going digital in general, I see that the new requirement for banks will start, in terms of branches. Yes, there will be, but I'm not seeing a major, that this is something they would want to do ASAP. So that probably is a sector you can avoid for the time being. Just my thoughts.
Right. What about you, Ram? One sector to look out for and one to avoid.
So yes, I think Sudarshan got the first mover benefit. Banking is certainly one. When we the pre-lease market started 10 years back in India, and the first thing was ATMs. Low entry ticket, people renting out space for 50 lakh rupees and getting a good. Those times the ROI was 10%. Slowly, what happened is banks stopped doing their own ATM. It was third-party ATMs. Many of the places, these ATMs just left without notice, and there were huge property taxes because you were deemed to be leasing out to bank. Number one. So people have stopped going to ATM. They use a digital mode. Branches. I know banks that used to take 3,000, 3,500 carpet for a branch. Now, how many of us visit a branch today? No one visits. That model has come down. Many banks have surrendered, and they're going for now 1,000 square feet, 800 square feet. A lot of mergers have happened in the banking industry. So what happens is, if there was a Bank of Baroda and a Bank of Dana Bank on the same street, and the merger happened, suddenly two of those premises went vacant, and the investor who had bought this is left in a limbo because the kind of rental the banks pay, I will tell you, none other companies pay. So going further, banking premises now will no longer be the flavor of the season, and it should be avoided for the simple reason, I get it at 4.5%, 5%. Again, there's a huge uncertainty. Tomorrow the bank walks out saying, I still need a smaller premises. So that is one. I would say for the flavor of the season, the digital world, the IT is enabled. So just as Sudarshan said, yes, we are also dealing with certain inquiries from Southeast Asia also now, and from the US. There are a lot of companies are outsourcing. So what is happening is, at one place where US is not giving visas to Indians to work there, at the same time, all those things are now coming back, because India is a people's country, and good quality of tenant will never be a dearth in India. So I see these two sectors, IT is You can go FMCG, yes, FMCG. Yes. So, one thing I would add, Sudarshan and Raj, at home sitting right now, whatever I have consumed in the last 35 days, I would say all those sectors will survive the Holocaust, it will survive the World War, it will survive everything. So those are the sectors to look at, and which you wouldn't touch. Yes, travel is a big issue. So airline in travel industry.
What a fantastic point. Without the audio being on, other people's I can hear claps.
Thanks.
So